Crispin Glover is an American actor, director, screenwriter, recording artist, publisher, and author. Glover is known for portraying eccentric people on screen such as George McFly in Back to the Future, Lane in River's Edge, unfriendly recluse Reuben Farr in Reuben and Ed, Andy Warhol in The Doors, The Thin Man in the film adaptation of Charlie's Angels and its sequel, Willard Stiles in the Willard remake, the Knave of Hearts in Alice in Wonderland, Phil in Hot Tub Time Machine, and a Willy Wonka parody in Epic Movie. He is also the voice of Fifi in the Open Season franchise and appeared in the screen adaptation of the Elmore Leonard novel Freaky Deaky. He played a German-speaking clairvoyant during World War I in the Polish-language film His Spanker and an unwitting employee in service of Robert De Niro's character in The Bag Man. In the late 1980s, Glover started his company, Volcanic Eruptions, which publishes his books and also serves as the production company for Glover's films, What Is It? And It Is Fine. Everything Is Fine. Glover tours with his movies and is currently supervising the building of sets for his next productions at property he owns in the Czech Republic. Glover was recognized for his directorial work in 2013 where the Museum of Arts and Design in New York City staged the series It Is Crispin Glover. The program consisted of screenings of all of his directorial work, live performances and speaking engagements. Early life. Glover is an only child, born in New York City, and moved to Los Angeles with his family at the age of 5. His father is actor Bruce Glover, and his mother, Mary Elizabeth Lillian Betty Krejci Bloom Kerber, was an actress and dancer who retired upon his birth. He was named after the St. Crispin's Day speech from William Shakespeare's play Henry V, which his parents enjoyed. Hellion, his real middle name, had earlier been used as a false middle name by his father, who did not like his own real middle name, Herbert. His father is of English, Czech, and Swedish descent, and his mother is of German and Czech ancestry. As a child, Glover attended the Meerman School from grade 1 through 9. He then attended both Venice High for grade 10 and 11, and Beverly Hills High School only for grade 12. He graduated in 1982. Acting career. Glover began acting professionally at the age of 13. He appeared in several sitcoms as a teenager, including Happy Days and Family Ties. His first film role was in 1983's My Tutor. That led to roles in Teachers and Friday the 13th, The Final Chapter. He then worked with director Trent Harris on the third chapter of the Beaver trilogy, entitled The Orkley Kid. In this short film, he portrayed a small-town man who organizes a local talent show to showcase his obsession with Olivia Newton-John, much to the embarrassment of the local community. At the climax of the film, Glover does his rendition, in full drag, of Newton-John's "Please Don't Keep Me Waiting" from her 1979 album Totally Hot. His breakout role was as George McFly in Robert Zemeckis' Back to the Future, an international box office success in 1985. Glover and the producers could not agree on suitable terms for him to appear in the sequels, so the role of the character was greatly reduced and recast. In Back to the Future Part 2, Zemeckis reused brief footage of Glover which had been filmed for the first movie. Glover was billed as George McFly in footage from Back to the Future. In the closing credits, the older footage was combined with new footage of actor Jeffrey Weissman wearing a false chin, nose and cheekbones, and various obfuscating methods. In the background, wearing sunglasses, rear shot, upside down, to play the role of George McFly, because these methods suggested that Glover himself had performed for the film. He sued the producers on the grounds that they had used his likeness without permission, as well as not having paid him for the reuse of the footage from the original movie. Subsequently, there are now clauses in the Screen Actors Guild collective bargaining agreements to the effect that this is no longer permitted. He has continued to play exceedingly eccentric types, including playing Andy Warhol in Oliver Stone's The Doors in 1991, as well as the title characters in Bartleby and Willard. He received mainstream attention as the Thin Man in the Charlie's Angels films. The character had initially been cast as a speaking role, but Glover, noting that the lines as written were exposition, convinced the producers to eliminate the lines to create a precise image for the character. Glover was a co-interlocutor with Norman Hill and Werner Herzog for the special feature commentary for the DVD of Werner Herzog's Even Dwarfs Started, Small and Fata Morgana. Glover appeared in the 2007 film Beowulf as the monster Grendel, playing the part through performance capture technology. The film was Glover's first collaboration with director Robert Zemeckis since the original Back to the Future film. He voiced the character Six in the film Nine. Glover played Milosevic Stain, the Knave of Hearts in Tim Burton's Alice in Wonderland. He played the one-armed bellman in Hot Tub Time Machine. He played the unwitting employee of Robert De Niro's character in The Bag Man. Late night appearance. Glover appeared on Late Night with David Letterman on July 28, 1987, to promote the movie River's Edge, in which he starred. Unbeknownst to Letterman and the audience, Glover appeared in character as Rubin from the then unreleased movie Rubin and Ed, wearing platform shoes and a wig. Rather than a conventional interview, Glover staged an Andy Kaufman-like prank. After being goaded by a woman in the audience, Glover stated that he knew that this was gonna happen, and that the press, they can do things. They can twist things around. After challenging Letterman to an arm wrestling match, Glover delivered an impromptu karate kick a few feet from Letterman while stating, "I'm strong. I can kick." Letterman then abruptly ended the segment by walking off stage, saying, "I'm going to check on the top 10. As the program cut to commercial, the subsequent confusion and controversy surrounding his appearance was compounded by the fact that Rubin and Ed was not actually released until 1991. However, the movie had been in development since before Back to the Future. Crispin had actually already devised Rubin's look by 1985. Almost nobody, apparently including Letterman, understood what Glover was doing, and the interview became the hallmark of the weird TV guest. Glover returned to the Letterman show 3 times after that. The first appearance was about a month later. The second was almost 3 years later, wherein he participated in a more standard interview, but made it questionable whether he had ever been on the show before. Glover used a variety of delay tactics explaining the incident, and referring to it as being an interesting thing. Glover then appeared the third time 2 years later, promoting a record album. When again asked about his first appearance, Glover launched into a long story, mentioning having met a fellow resembling himself named Rubin, and needing to appear on The Tonight Show starring Johnny Carson simultaneous to his appearance with Letterman. Here, Letterman cut him off to talk about the album Glover was promoting, as the time allotted for the interview was more than halfway over. Glover has subsequently refused to go into detail about the reasons for his behavior on the show, other than to mention that he's flattered that fans are still speculating on the performance more than 20 years later. Glover has also mentioned that he prefers there to be an air of mystery about the appearance. In an interview in 2011, Back to the Future co-star Michael J. Fox talked about the incident with Letterman, saying Crispin isn't crazy, just excitable. Music career. In 1989, during a hiatus from films, Glover released an album called The Big Problem Does Not Equal The Solution. The Solution equals Let It Be through Restless Records, produced by Barnes & Barnes. The album features original songs like Clowny Clown Clown, odd versions of Lee Hazelwood's These Boots Are Made for Walkin', and Charles Manson's I'll Never Say Never to Always, and readings from his art books Rat Catching and Okemo. Sample pages from these books are featured in the album's liner notes. The back cover of the album is a collage of figures relating to each track on the album, with an inscription. All words and lyrics point to the big problem. The solution lay within the title, Let It Be. Crispin Glover wants to know what you think these 9 things all have in common. He included a telephone number on the back of the album, encouraging listeners to phone when they had figured out the element that all pieces had in common. He has said the telephone number was a pre-internet way of letting people know about the books. As for the 9 things in common, Glover has said, it is really just the theme of the album. Glover later commented that he was surprised how many people realized what it was. He recorded a version of the Michael Jackson song, Ben, to coincide with the release of the 2003 film Willard. The song had been written for the sequel to the original 1971 version of this film. In the music video for the song, he sings to a rat named Ben. A number of songs using Glover's name as the title have been recorded by various artists, including shoegaze, gothic rock band Scarling, Chicago outsider musician Wesley Willis, and a New Jersey-based band called Children in Adult Jails. In the early 2000s, a Kansas City band named itself Onward Crispin Glover. Books. Glover has written between 15 and 20 books. Okmo and rat catching are featured prominently during his big slideshow presentation, and are presented as visual art as much as written art. He constructs the books by reusing old novels and other publications which have fallen into public domain due to their age. He rearranges texts, blacks out certain standing passages, and adds his own prose into the margins and elsewhere, thus creating an entirely new story. 4 of his books have been published so far, through his publishing company, Volcanic Eruptions. Other known titles include The Backward Swing, A New World, and Round My House. The publishing years listed above may not represent first edition publication dates, but may include subsequent available editions. Not published, reissued, out of print. Directorial work. Glover made his directorial debut with 2005's What Is It?, a surreal film featuring a cast of actors with Down syndrome. It premiered at the 2005 Sundance Film Festival. With a budget of only $150,000, it took almost a decade to complete and was originally intended to be a short film. Most of the primary footage was shot in 12 days, stretched over a 2.5-year period. Production was mostly funded by the actors' roles in Willard and the Charlie's Angels films. Glover's second film, It Is Fine, Everything Is Fine, was written by Utah writer-actor Stephen C. Stewart. Stewart was born with a severe case of cerebral palsy and had been confined to a nursing home for about 10 years. The second film is a fantastical psychosexual retelling of life from Stewart's point of view. It premiered at the 2007 Sundance Film Festival. Glover is currently developing other feature films that are outside of the trilogy and planning a third film, called It Is Mine, which will end the It trilogy. Glover has completed shooting his third feature film as a director. It is a film he has developed for himself and his father Bruce Glover to act in together. This film is not part 3 of the IT trilogy. Filmography.